You've been programmed to be fat. And every day, the world reinforces that idea that eating healthy all the time is just impossible, and that food is an important way for us to enjoy life, and that the joy that's going to come from food is only going to come from junk food and fast food. And that programming, if it's left to run your daily actions, is going to ruin your life. That's because believing these lies distracts you from your keto journey, right? It leads to you overeating garbage. It's poisoning your body, and it traps you in this yo-yo dieting, painful life that none of us wants to be living. Now, when I worked for the government, there were these meetings that we needed to go to, and they were mandatory. There were these monthly meetings for breakfast, and breakfast meetings, I should call it. And at these meetings, we would get coffee and tea, and then everything else was cakes, pastries, fruit, and low-fat yogurt. This is a monthly meeting that we have to attend. And it was the norm that everybody just loaded up their plates with all this junk food. And it gave me the excuse to eat garbage for breakfast because, cake. And I was eating garbage for breakfast. And that didn't matter whether I was in a place where I was trying to lose weight or not trying to lose weight. I did it. Why? Because everybody else was eating like this. So it can't possibly be wrong, right? You have these ideas that one day of eating something junky, something bad for us, can't possibly erase all the efforts that I made from the previous week, right? That couldn't be a thing. Yes, it is, right? I believed the lie, right? I believed them. I believed the lies that they were telling me, that the world tells us, that was keeping me fat. And I ate the junk. And then I tried real hard the following week or weeks, because, it's happening once a month, to just double down, work out more, be more on top of myself. Because, a month later, I'm going to be doing this again. And maybe not even a month later, because that same lie that says, one thing is not going to ruin your diet. Well, then that allows me to eat the wrong thing more than once in a while, right? It allows me to do that on the weekend. It's not just once a month. The dieting lies, though, we have some ability to see them. They're coming at us, right? Like we can act in our own best interest when it comes to these dieting lies because we've heard them so often, and then we've lived the repercussions of them. If we have good data, we can tell them apart. But if you're new here, the good data I'm talking about is like keto and carnivore, okay? And that helps us to heal our body. That helps us to regulate our weight. Can I point out that 6 years ago, I did not have the good data because I obviously was overweight and not comprehending why my body was in pain 24/7. Right? I was completely ruining my body. So if you're new, you might be completely ruining your body because you're still believing these ideas. I believe the doctors, right? The dietitians, the nutritionists, all the dieting information, the calories in, calories out, the just exercise a little more and, your body is going to do the math. Your body doesn't do math. But these are the lies that we're told, right? That if you just make that calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight and everything's going to be fine. Like I said, once you start to gather some healthy keto, carnivore data, knowledge, doctors that are telling the truth about what carbohydrates do, then you start to understand that those are lies. But what about those bigger lies? The lies about how life functions, how the world is, how we use and then use that data to make decisions. Like, what about those lies? Right? Like, you only live once. Although that's a true statement, that lie about life, because the end of that sentence is what, right? People only say that when they're about to do bad behavior. You only live once, so I'm going to eat this cake. You only live once, so I'm going to spend way too much of my money on this toy or this vacation or this whatever, because you only live once. And it puts us in this position where, yes, it's true, but at the same time, what I'm really saying is the only way to have fun is to do the outrageous thing, right? I'm gonna die at some point, so who cares about being healthy? That's really what that statement says when you apply it to health. You only live once, so eat the cake, right? Who cares about being healthy? I do, because, right? Like I still have to live the next 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 days, years, whatever it's going to be. If I want my later years to be healthy, why am I acting like what I eat right now doesn't matter? If I want them to be painful, oh sure, then what I'm eating right now doesn't matter. If I want to be immobile, either because I'm in pain or either because I'm so huge I can't just get around the way that I want to get, then of course I don't have to care about later. But that's putting us in this position where all we're focusing on is this idea that we're not going to be here tomorrow. But most of us wake up the next day and we're here tomorrow. Do I want to leave early is another question, right? Like, I know that when we get sick and like we're really sick and now our life is at risk, that throws us into a panic, right? Because we want to live. And we will fight at that point for life. But why is it that we only live once is the way that we are formulating our attack of the world? Well, it's because we've been lied to, right? We've been put in this position where, well, how do we get them to eat the thing that we're selling? Because we know this is not healthy. Oh, well, if we just kind of lean in on this idea that, life is short. You only live once. Like, you should have fun and, right? And we end up falling for it. And this is something that we hear everywhere. Everywhere. I'd be surprised if there's anybody listening to this who's not been told that by somebody trying to get them to do the thing that isn't really best for them. Right? If you haven't been told that, I'm going to be shocked. Another one that I will tell you is this idea that good things never last. But, and the flip side of that is like bad things go on forever. Which is not true, first of all. Neither one of them lasts forever. Good things don't last, but neither do bad things, right? Things happen, and then because we are who we are, we make corrections and things get better. But also because we are who we are, sometimes things get worse because life is constantly moving, right? Like if we walk through the world waiting always for the other shoe to drop, right? That's another one of them. Like all of these things touch each other, right? All these ideas, these truisms that we are given to ways of looking at life, but they're these negative ideas that take us on a path that cause us to be in a relationship with food that's not healthy, right? Because if good things never last, then first of all, I'm telling myself that this good behavior that I did to get myself in a healthier place, I'm already thinking it's not going to last, right? I don't end up believing in me that I can actually stick to a diet. And so then when I'm doing it, I'm expecting myself to make a mistake. I'm expecting myself to eat that cake or cookie or ice cream or whatever the heck it is that tempts you, chocolate. I'm expecting myself to do it. And if you add to that, if anything bad happens in my life, I know when I eat that thing, I'm going to have a momentary hug, right? Because all the chemicals in my brain are going to go off. But is that momentary hug worth the damage that you're going to do? Never. I'm not even going to say never. It's never worth the damage. Change is seen as bad. And because we see change as bad, we hesitate to do the things that could help us to move forward. So this idea that, this idea that you're waiting for the other shoe to drop because you did something, you changed something, and it's going better. And now you're just looking because change is bad, right? I did something new. Okay, something bad is going to happen. Good things never last, right? So I'm waiting for that bad thing to happen, even though I changed and my body is acting in line with this positive change I made. I'm getting healthier. I'm feeling better. But because I am waiting for the bad thing to happen, and because change is seen as bad, the opportunity to do what I'm used to shows itself. And then I do it because that's what I'm used to, right? That monthly meeting is going to come around again. And there's chocolate croissants on the table, and I took one. No matter how much hard work I put in the 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks that in between, I'm eating the chocolate croissant again, right? Because this is my excuse. We don't expect things to change for the better. We don't give ourselves that confidence in me that I can actually not just change something, change it in a positive direction and keep going, push forward, believe in me that I will do this, not just today, tomorrow, the next day, that I will keep going because this feels good. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to overcome negative things because you're telling yourself you can't. I remember the first time that I was faced with this lie in a medical scenario. I went to the doctor because my left thigh was numb. The entire thing numb. Like I was in front of the doctor going, I can't feel this. And the doctor looked at me, didn't even do more of an examination. I showed him that. He walked over. You can't feel that? I said, no. He said, oh, that happens sometimes. You're going to have to learn to live with it. And I was like, what do you mean? So we had a 3-minute conversation. He didn't give me more time than that. Yeah, you're going to have to learn to live with it. There's nothing to do. No, there's nothing to do. This is the back and forth I'm having with this person. I left that room feeling so down. And then in the weeks that followed that, you can't even, my brain was just well, what if it happens to my whole body? And the what ifing that I was doing, but also every time I would touch my leg and not feel that, the freak out that was happening in my head of forever. I need to do that. I need to get used to that happening to me forever. And guess what? He was wrong. Now, I don't know why my feeling in my leg came back, but it came back. He was wrong. And I realized that I have to be willing to look for my own answers. I believed him. I walked around. I was so depressed. Was I actually depressed? I think I probably was depressed. I was sad as hell. So I was walking through the world as if everything, and I was, age. Let's put age on this. I was 27, 28, maybe. I wasn't 30 yet, right? I wasn't 30 yet. My joint pain had already started. So I know I was past 23. So I'm going to think maybe it was 5 years after that. I didn't have my daughter yet. So I know I wasn't in my 30s. Do you understand, Wellness Warrior, where when the feeling in my leg came back, that I promised to myself that, no, I'm never going to let a doctor just tell me this is how it is, get over it ever again. Because he was wrong. And if I would have just given up, well, no, I did give up. That's the thing. I did give up. And maybe if I hadn't have given up, I would have seen another doctor who would have told me, oh no, do this, do that, or, oh, let's check if you're eating something, or, well, they wouldn't have said eating something, but let's check if something in your environment caused this. Maybe I would have done a few extra steps and not live that negative that I lived for months before and I wish, because I don't even know what made it come back. I don't know what made it go, I don't know. So these lies, right? They absolutely impact our lives, right? Because this idea that I had that, well, things are going to go wrong and there's nothing we can do about it, and it played a role there. Another lie that I hear so often when people are talking about their struggle in life is that everyone else has it easier than they have it, right? This idea that life should be easy, right? And that we should be able to take this path of least resistance and get everything we want. Now, first of all, can I just point out, in all honesty, life without any challenge isn't fun. I'm starting there because I want us to pause and think about something. When does it actually happen that you want zero challenge in your life? Even if you think about fun things, I learned to ski and you go on the green runs, and as soon as I mastered those, or I went on the blues, you master that, you go on the diamonds, you master that, you go on the double diamonds, you master that. Okay, now it's boring. Okay, I changed to snowblades. Those are a completely different way of skiing. So I start using those. I go on the greens and the blues and the black. It didn't take me long to move my way up this time because I already knew how to ski. And then you get on the double diamonds. Okay, it's very tricky. You don't have as much resistance, right? So that was very tricky. It took me a long time to master the double diamonds. But eventually I mastered. What did I do? Did I say, okay, now I'm just going to always... No, I learned to snowboard, right? Now, I haven't mastered the double diamonds on the snowboard yet. I'm good at it, but I haven't mastered it yet. But what do you think is going to happen once I master it? I'm probably going to find something else to do. I've seen some other people doing other things on the hill. I'm probably going to, right? We don't want life to just be easy, or it's not fun. We don't want it to be devastating either. But there's got to be some in between there. There has to be some middle ground. When we work for what we have, it means more to us. We enjoy that. We like that. We like to know that we accomplished something. But the problem is, comparison, it's stealing some people's joy, right? Some people compare themselves and say, oh, you have it better than me. That means my life is bad. I don't do that. And I don't encourage you to do that, because that's a wrong way of looking at other people, because they're not there to make me feel good, right? They're there doing their thing and I'm here doing my thing. When I compare myself to other people, which I do because we all do it, I do it to see the possibilities, right? I remember when I learned to ski, and I was in my mid-20s when I learned to ski, and I was excited to see how many people in their, what looked to me like 60s, even I saw this really old dude that he had to be in his 70s. And every year when I go to the hill and I see people older than me, it gives me the hope that I will still be doing this when I'm their age. That's how I compare myself to others, right? I've trained myself to think that if it seems easy, it's because that person either knows something that I don't know or has a tool that I don't have. But it's not because it's unfair. It's because I just don't know what they know yet. I just don't have what they have yet. In this case, it's skill. I don't have the skill that they had, but clearly they're still here at that age. They have the skill. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge when I first was trying to manage winter, I didn't have the knowledge that if you're doing fun activities in the winter seems amazing, right? I used to not like winter. Oh, winter's here and I can't go outside. Of course you can go outside. Nothing stops me from going outside. There are things that we don't let ourselves see because we're believing these lies that are saying that life's supposed to be this easy thing, that everybody else is having it so easy. Okay, can we just dive a little bit deeper into this lie for a second? Because the other part of this that drives me crazy is that we don't understand that if someone is eating a bunch of junk food and thin, that means that their body isn't accumulating that junk food and fat like what's happening to me at the beginning of my life, because I got fat when I was in my 30, after I had my daughter. So I was in my mid 30s when the weight started to come on. But what was happening between, childhood and that? Oh, I was walking around in pain. So all these people that were watching Violet eat junk food and being like, oh, she's so lucky. Look, she's still at a good weight. Yeah. Was I lucky that my knees were hurting me from 23, that my back started hurting me in my mid 20, that my shoulders, my elbow, my neck at one point, by the time I started seeing my chiropractor, that was because I couldn't turn my head. Was I lucky? And the fat still came on eventually. My body can only put it in these places for so long before, okay, now we got to do fat storage. So it still happened to me. We need to stop believing that we know somebody's story by looking at them, because you don't. I looked fine. I did activities. I ran around. I did stuff. And then I would take 2 to 3 days to recover from those activities. Was I going to walk around and just be like, I'm in pain, I'm in 24/7? No, because it was my life. We need to stop thinking we know stuff that we don't know. So what's true? We're all afraid of being sick, fat, and hating life. All of us. That's actually true. It's negative. So how do we make it positive? Well, we are all also trying to solve a problem, right? We all want to repair our body. We just don't know that that's the problem we're trying to solve, because we keep looking at this other thing that says, I don't want this. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be, and we're so focused on what we don't want, we don't recognize that what we actually want is to heal. Right? We want to repair our body. So for some of us, that looks like weight loss. That's reality. Because when I repair my body goes back to its normal weight. For others of us, that looks like healing inflammation. Interesting. I had both of these two first stories, right? And so when I healed my body, my inflammation also went away. For some of us, it's going to be something a little bit bigger, like diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure, PCOS, like the bigger things, right? Okay. When you start eating properly and heal your body will take care of those things. Some of us don't have these first 3 categories. And so really what we're trying to do is keep muscle on our bodies or build muscle on our bodies, right? We're trying to be strong, trying to be flexible. We want to be doing good exercise. All of that is towards repairing our bodies, building and repairing our bodies. All of it is towards that same goal, right? What we need to understand is that all of those things, all those processes to achieve those weight loss, inflammation solving, or any medical condition you have solving, all of those processes take time. I don't understand why we don't understand that. When we were born, to be born, it took 9 months to build a body, right? Like for us to go from, two separate halves to, okay, now we're a thing that's growing and we became a baby, that took 9-ish months, right? To build a body. And then that body took another 18 to 21 years, depending on when that bone in the top of when your skull fuses together, somewhere between 18 and 21 years. I think that, or maybe it's 24 years for that to fuse. That's when you now have your fully grown adult body. That's years, Wellness Warrior. When you think about it, right? How long it takes us to achieve that adult size, right? That process was not fast. It was nowhere near fast. Now, let's talk about what happens next, right? So we get the body to this size. And by the way, I'm being very general here. What I'm going to talk about now happened during that period of time too, but I'm just trying to show you something, because a year to make it, 18 years to get it to the right size. And now as we're moving forward in life, it has to be repaired, right? It's like you build the house. You can't just say, okay, done. No, every few years you need to repair things, right? So we need repairs. How long does it take us to do the repairs, right? Well, if you think about stuff like skin, every few weeks you have new skin cells, right? Every few weeks you have new blood cells. Every few weeks you have new digestive tract cells. Like, those things don't take months to regenerate. They take weeks to regenerate. Like, these cells are constantly turning over. Okay. What about like muscle and fat? Those are the ones that take much, much longer, right? Like 12 plus years for muscle and fat, right? But here's the interesting thing about muscle and fat. If there's any damage, they will regenerate sooner than the 12 to, right? They will actively try to repair themselves. So let me be more clear, your body will actively try to repair itself if there's damage. That's why when you work out and you create tears, you actually grow, because your body went in and said, oh, there's some tears, and it fixed it up. And so that's how you grow muscle. So it's important for us to understand that this process is a continual scenario. And this, in my opinion, is amazing information that we don't allow ourselves to really pay enough attention to, right? Why? Because we miss a huge opportunity to save ourselves pain. Because these rapidly replaced cells actually tell us stuff. So my skin cells, every few weeks, get replaced. Well then, if I change my diet, I'm going to see the results in things like rashes, dry skin, oily skin, right? My hair is going to have changes. These things are not going to take years for me to notice. It's going to take weeks for me to notice. If I'm doing a good job, these things should be doing better. What about my digestive tract? Yes, that's another place where we have a lot of turnover. So if I'm doing a good job, it shouldn't take years for that inflammation to change. It should change weeks, maybe months, if I'm doing a good job. So what about dental problems? Yeah, again, your mouth and the inside of your mouth, some of those cells are turning over again, right? Why are we not paying attention to the things that we actually can track and see to help us understand when we're doing well and when we're doing poorly when it comes to building and repairing our bodies. Because they're big red flags for us, right? Now, we wait until we see weight. Okay, but wait can take a bit longer because some people are still in a phase where they're putting on 1 to 2 pounds a year. Well, 1 to 2 pounds a year, it means that by the time I'm going to notice it in the mirror, right? Because I'm not going to notice 1 pound on me. Well, that's going to take years. Why do we pay so much attention to weight and ignore what our skin is telling us, ignore what our digestive tract is telling us, ignore what our mouth is telling us? I was shocked. I saw I think it was a TED Talk talking about that. Why are we ignoring our mouth? It's the fastest place that we see when we're doing mistakes with food. We need to eat to build and repair our bodies. It's the food that builds and repairs us, right? And I'm encouraging you to take note of all the symptoms, so all these things like your digestive tract, your any illnesses that you have that related to skin, or I want you to pay attention. I'm not saying don't pay attention to the bigger things like heart, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is every few weeks you're getting data. And I want you to look at the data because it's an opportunity for you to see how what I'm eating is helping my body to build itself. And then I can actually do good things with that information. And I feel like when we focus only on our weight, we're not even letting ourselves notice that, hey, I feel better. That means that my gut inflammation, right? Or that my joint inflammation or any other kind of inflammation issue you might be having, that my body was able to help me there. There's really only one takeaway from today's message. It's that eating for fun is deadly, right? I really need us all to see that we're allowing ourselves to choose food that's based on fun instead of health. We need to choose based on health. Because when you choose based on health, you see these positives happen and pay attention to them. So that's the part, right? The positives have, I've talked to so many people who did keto or carnivore, and the positives happened. But then this idea that, you can't do this forever creeps in, or this idea that, you have to have fun at the party creeps in, or these ideas that are going to derail you. They're going to push you off your healthy journey with food. And if they push you off that healthy journey, you're back to eating the wrong thing. You're back to damaging your body. That's what happens. You're back there. I need you to choose your food based on health. That's number one. Number two, do the research to learn what is healthy. Right? Now I know I'm trying to eat based on health. I need to find out what is the healthy food. Again, I'm going to, for reference, say that in my experience, keto/carnivore gives us the best data to be able to make those kind of decisions. And then the third part is the most important part. Eat that food every single day. It is impossible to get good results if you're not eating the good food every single day. Put down this idea that eating for fun is okay, because it really isn't. It really isn't. And every one of us is harmed by these ideas that say, you only live once, right? That idea is harming you. Not just, a little bit, a lot. Because you're rebuilding your body every single day. So no matter what diagnosis you have or what weight you are, the food that you're eating is either helping you to build a good version of you, or it's adding to the problem. Do we really want to keep adding to the problem? I know you all just said no to that. I don't want to add to the problem. I want this to be solved. So, because you said no to that and you want to solve, eat the healthy food every single day. And if that sounds boring to you, does being sick sound exciting? Because that's the choice you're making right now. That I eat the healthy food or I let myself be sick. Now, I'm going to link to some videos on getting your carb cravings under control down in the description, because that's what you need to do. You need to get your carb cravings under control, because it should, going forward from today, be your answer. I'm going to eat healthy every day. That is actually the only option you have if you want to feel good, you want to heal your body. The cells are regenerating every few days, and we are letting them regenerate with the same garbage that got us in trouble. We need to stop it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is set myself up here and say hello to everybody who's in the live stream. And please QQQ in front of questions for me. That way that I will know to pull them out to read. And actually, what I'm going to try to do today, if I can get this to work. Oh, okay. Let's try it like that. Okay. So I was a little bit late. I had some some technical difficulties. So first, Bert Kima, hello. I'm glad that you're able to be here live. And you're saying tonight. So that's great. I guess you must be across the world because it's daytime here. Hello, Sing It. How are you doing today? The Netherlands. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're able to make it here from the Netherlands. I appreciate you being here. I hope the information is helping you. Michael B. Live. Hello. How are you doing? I'm glad that you're here as well. Laura N. Hello. And how are you doing? And Cynthia Video, I'm so happy that you're here this morning. I'm looking forward to some questions. And Sing It, you're in Chicago. That's cool. Mandel Harvey, hi. I'm glad you're here. There's so many familiar names today. I'm really, really excited. And I'm looking for questions. Okay, so I see a question here from Sing It. I got emotional on the why so hard for me point. So lipedema is harder than general weight loss. Every other day, I'm pumped, then depressed, like I'm fighting a losing battle. Sing It, thank you for pointing that out, and I want to share something with you. You know, the one thing that I'm going to say here is, if my body is struggling with something, in your case, lipedema, eating healthy food makes even more sense. Why? Because that's me taking care of me. At some point, we've lost track of that doing the right thing for our health gives our body the tools it needs to dig us out of the hole that we happen to be in. And I feel like a lot of the reason that happens is because there's this belief that if I have a condition, the food has nothing to do with it. And honestly, from everything that I'm starting to understand now, the more I learn, the more I'm frustrated, because not only is it not true, the research that we have that points to us knowing that food plays a humongous role and that plants are not something that we should be eating in large quantities. Yeah, like that data goes back to before the 1900s. We're in the 1800s when they started to figure that stuff out and have like research that was real research towards that conversation. So the only option that anybody who's ill has is eat healthy food. That's the only option. If we start there, we are giving our body the possibility of changing our story. So your question is, okay, why do I go up and down? You go up and down because that other lie, right? That everybody else has it easier and my life is my life and my struggles are my struggles. And you might see my life as easy. I might see your life as easy, depending on what kind of struggle you have versus what kind of struggle I have, because we're not just talking about food and weight now. We're talking about life in general. There's always something that we're trying to overcome. And it's about realizing I can. Now that I know what I'm trying to accomplish, I can. You couldn't accomplish it before you had the label lipedema to understand this is an inflammation / whatever else is happening there story. But now that you do know that, how does insulin resistance play a role in that? How does, how do oxalates play a role in that? How does the poisons in certain plants play a role in that? Because all of these things contribute to inflammation, and all of these things are going to perhaps put your body in a position where it needs to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like your lymphatic system, and so all the things that start coming back together when your body's trying to help you. But these other things that we're eating that impede those systems from working, well, of course, we want to do the thing where those systems never get interfered with. I don't want to ingest anything that might block a system that's going to help me from working. So yes, I get it. There's ups and downs. And when you feel down, my suggestion to you, yell, scream, get upset, let yourself live it, and then move on, because you doing the right thing is always the right answer. So what's better for me? To scream for a few minutes? To cry for a few minutes? To be upset with my life for a few minutes? Or to self-soothe and eat the whatever that, for me, it would be chocolate, to eat that chocolate? Today, I know that the answer is yell and scream, right? The answer is be upset, but keep driving. Do not pull in and buy nuts, right? And I can guarantee you that nobody's life is perfect. My life is not perfect. Have I had moments in the last week where I wanted to pull in and buy nuts? Yes, I did. Did I do it? No, I didn't. I kept driving because I'm like, that's not going to make my life any easier. It's actually going to make my life a lot harder. I have things to do. So I'm not doing that. So I want us, that path of least resistance that we keep being told is the holy grail, right? If your life is on easy mode, that's supposed to be the holy grail. I want us to understand it's not true. It's not true, and it's not desirable. You're not going to like life if it feels too easy. You're not going to like life if it feels too hard. It's finding that middle ground. And that middle ground for me is going to look different than it does for you. The challenges that I bring into my life on purpose, like even this right now, what I'm doing right now, that I'm sitting here making this video, like I have other things happening that also need my attention. But I'm making this video because this is also important to me. The more people that I can help to understand that these lies are what's throwing us into turmoil, the better. But I can't do that if I'm, if I'm hurting myself. I really hope that that's making sense to you. I hear what you're saying. And when we're in the middle of it, so when I was in the middle of my hip pain and you're doing stuff and it's like, is this going to work? The question mark is still there. Yes, that's hard. That's hard. Luckily for me, the path was not long and I was able to see the results immediately. What I'm asking you to do, Sing It, is pay attention. What results do you see? Do you see any improvements? Because if you see any improvements, that's an indication to you that what you're doing is working, and then that's your reason. If what I'm doing is working, even if it takes these are fat cells we're talking about. So they're the long ones. Even if it takes 12 years, let's go the longest possible. What if it takes 12 years? Well, if it takes 12 years, does me resetting myself and introducing the problem again help me ever? And all of a sudden the answer to that is no. If my story was going to take 12 years, I'm 6 years in. That's amazing, right? So what happens in the next 6 years? And there are internal things that I know my body's cleaning up, right? Because I was eating poorly for 43, 46, I can never remember, whatever years, right? So do I think that I'm in perfect shape now? No, of course not. I know that my body has a lot more work to do. But what I know also is that because I eat every day about health, not about fun, I'm giving my body the tools. And that's what we need to do, because that's the best way for us to take care of ourselves. There isn't any other intervention that we can do ourselves on ourselves. Well, exercise. We can also exercise. Exercise is good. You should be exercising, just making sure we're doing it for the right reasons. So, hello, Dexter McCarthy. Glad that you made it here. So, looking for more questions. Okay, so I see a question from Laura N. My daughter is about to start med school, and she and her boyfriend are adherents to YOLO, you only live once philosophy, and eat mainly a heavy carb diet. Can I help them without preaching? I feel like the number one way that we help without preaching is being ourselves. So eating healthy, and like depending on what the story is that you solve for yourself, they're going to see it, right? And if Laura, if you didn't have weight to lose and you didn't have any medical condition to change, and it's really just about showing them the good health, when they're going to get into medical school, I really do feel that, especially when you have people around you who figured this out and are eating healthier, in medical school, the information that they're going to learn is going to help them to see the contradiction. So, I feel like all of our young people, because they're young, that you only live once mentality is there. At the same time, these problems are already brewing. And so, not to be scary, but I think about all the children in the children's hospitals with conditions that today we now know are related to food. And so that's really frustrating, because we know today they're related to food, then like they don't need to be in that story, right? They're in that story because we raised them on, cereal and milk and all these things that we didn't need to raise. If our kids were eating meat, I wonder how many of those children in the children's hospitals wouldn't be there. So I think that your daughter and her boyfriend, they're living what they've been taught to live, which is this whole idea of, like we only live once. And so, yeah, sure. But I think that as they gather more information, as they start to see the damage that's happening, they might, because they have knowledge, because of what you're doing, they might be able to see where there's something to what you're saying, right? To what mom is saying. But you can't force it. But I would definitely get them to question it. I would definitely get them to look at the research, especially they're in med school, so they will be able to look at the research. So when you get articles and things that are good research, letting them look it over with you and helping you, like as they're helping you to understand what the science means, they're also going to be learning what the science is saying. So that could be an interesting also way for you, because you have two people there who theoretically will be able to help you to understand these research papers that Dr. Berry and Dr. Bickman and Mike Mutzel are always putting in front of us, right? This research that's showing that actually keto and carnivore are healthier than like these other kind of foods and diets and whatever. right? So the research is starting to be there. And as they're helping you to understand it, you might be able to help them to understand it too. So Mandel is a question. Hi, Mandel. Scripture says to eat the blood or milk with the flesh of the animal. Seeing modern tribes consume blood and let the animal live, I think it means don't kill productive livestock. And it's continued, you said. Okay, so my observation is that the Bible is almost always very practical, and the stuff that it is very, very contrary is an enforced misreading of the plainly written text. Hi, Matt. So Mandel, I think I do get what you're saying. Like, one thing that the doctors keep pointing out that I think is important for us to put our brain around is that milk is to rapidly grow a baby. That's the purpose of milk. And so we breastfeed our children to kind of help them in that process to rapidly grow them. And cows, feed their calves. And the question that's put in front of us is, when we drink milk, do we understand that that's to rapidly grow us? But then we're not still growing up, right? So we end up growing wide. And so, I feel like there's just this refusal to allow ourselves to look at the data. And I'm talking medical now, I'm not talking individuals, because as individuals, we've, again, been taught to the doctor knows what's best for you, right? The professional knows what's best for you. And so we go in there and we hear them say, Violet, you just need to live with this not working. And I walk away believing, oh my goodness, I need to learn to live with this. And he was wrong. So these professionals are also people, and they can be wrong. These professionals can be misled, because the other set of people in this equation are the companies that are making these foods so going back in history, these foods that were originally created to help in war times that now we're eating all the time. And I feel, again, that we don't stop and really let ourselves understand what all of that means for our health, right? Because this is not war times. Why are we eating this way? I think it's a huge mistake. I have another question here from Ange. Hello, Ange. So what are your thoughts about blood tests for good sensitivity? I think you meant to say food sensitivities. Naturopaths push this, and I wonder if it's a distraction. My results said no eggs, dairy, and now I'm confused. So might it be a distraction? I do think it's kind of a distraction. However, if you see that you have a reaction to eggs and dairy, but you have a lot of eggs and dairy, so my opinion on dairy has changed over the years. I'm curious about the eggs. Why would you have a reaction to that? But if you have a reaction, you have a reaction. My opinion about dairy has changed because I've learned that galactose is metabolized mostly in the liver. So, and also just learning about casomorphine, which actually is a real thing, even though they tried to use it in the video for other purposes. It actually is a real thing. So maybe letting go of the dairy isn't a horrible thing, or having less dairy. Then and so now the question is, does not having eggs and dairy need to last forever? That's the other part of the story. And because eggs are healthy, typically. So typically, one thing that I will say is that we have to understand our body's metabolism and our body. So if I actually have thalassemia, and so therefore keeping my iron intake low is super important. And so therefore, when I eat red meats, I don't feel good. And it's not because, it's not because I just don't want them. It's that I actually don't feel good. So I do feel like if we have a sensitivity, it's good to know it exists. And then it's a matter of like, how are you managing now? And so, I mean, luckily for me, there are lots of meats that have less iron in them that I can still consume. And so I don't have to worry. And there, from what I understand anyways, there's nothing in red meat that I'm missing by not eating red meat. And if that would change, Wellness Warrior, I can tell you right away, if I found out, oh geez, if you're not eating red meat, this is missing, and I can't find a way to get it from fish or eggs or some other thing, I would have to try to figure out, like, how much red meat can I tolerate? Right? That would be my new story. But it's not my story right now, because from what I understand, eating all the other meats and fish allows me to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, which is good health. So, Ange, I'm going to encourage you. Like, I probably would ask this question to like one of the keto doctors in one of their live streams. I know it might be harder to get a question answered in their live streams because things move so quickly, but I would just be there at every one of their live streams and I would just keep asking it until somebody sees it and answers it. Or the other option you have, if you do have a keto-friendly doctor, there's more and more of them popping up every day. If you have one, I would ask the question to my keto-friendly doctor. But, and maybe you can even email this to one of the doctors online and they might answer you or answer it in a video. So I would try all the avenues. But my gut reaction to this is you have this sensitivity now, which obviously says that you did do the test and you have the sensitivity now. And what do you notice when you take eggs and dairy out? Does something improve? And then like I would keep moving forward and say, okay, so if something improves, terrific. Does it stay improved? So, because to make sure that, is it the eggs and the dairy or is there some other something? So the same way that when we are eating a standard diet and then we do vegetarian, our health improves for a while. The same thing might happen here. So that's why I'm saying like it would be a matter of do it, get the data, and then keep monitoring to see like, so does it come back? Because you need to know also how sensitive are you to eggs. If you eat something that has eggs as an ingredient, do you still have to react? So all of these things are going to become really important. You need to gather more information. I think if I was in your situation, I'd be gathering much more information. Paulette Stansel, hello. And your question is, how long does body stay at set point? A stall, how did you shift down when you were at that stage? So, Paulette, one thing that I will say is that a stall, first of all, by definition of the doctors, is like more than I believe it was like a month and a half. If your weight doesn't move after a month and a half, that's now you're in a stall. Anything less than a month and a half, they don't consider a stall, part one. But part two is that I didn't worry about stalls because my purpose when I started, so just transparency, heal my hip. So I wasn't focused on weight loss, although I was happy to get the weight loss. I just wasn't focused on it. That being said, what I will encourage you to think about is what internal repair is my body doing while I'm on a stall? And I think that sometimes we get sidetracked as we're so focused on weight that we don't realize that my body might actually be just doing some cleanup and doing things that are more important than burning energy. So it's probably still using those lipids to create whatever it's creating, right? Because you need fat, protein to create structures in the body. But does it mean it's something that I need to worry about? The most important thing, rather than trying to force my body forward, is to give my body time to see like when does it start back on the weight loss trajectory. Now, just in case the stall is happening because you're not in ketosis, so it's the second reason it could be happening from what I'm thinking about. The second reason is, are you tracking? Because if I'm tracking and I'm doing 20 grams of carbs or less, so if I'm in that range of 20 grams of carbs or less, then I keep eating as planned. If I track and realize, whoa, I'm at 30 or 25 or 70, or like I'm not actually at 20 or less, then that might be why you're stalled. So if you're going over, yes, correct that. If you check and everything is good and your numbers are good and everything's good, I would go for it and I wouldn't worry about it till I hit 45 days. And then at 45 days, now the new question is, maybe my number isn't 20. So my number might be 18 like mine was. My number might be 10. It might be 5. I don't know. But you then need to start looking at, okay, if I bring my carb count down a little bit more. Now, I also want to say, as I'm saying this out loud, I remember the fact that some people come to keto with bad information, because a keto diet is about taking carbohydrates out, right? Eating 20 grams of carbs or less. Up until this point, you'll notice that I'm talking about how to do keto. I haven't said any other macronutrient. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the other macronutrients only because I'm trying to help you to not make this mistake. The mistake is people think that they need to add fat to everything. If I'm trying to lose weight, which is body fat, and then I'm overeating fat, which is going to create fat in the body, I won't lose weight. I will at the beginning because I'm eating better, I'm eating healthier, but it won't be sustained. So my second thing for you to think about is, are you adding fat to things? And this is not just a case of like, oh, I'm eating the pork chop and I'm eating the fat that's on it. That's the normal part. So, and yes, that's what you're supposed to do. But are you adding fat to things? Part 1. Flip it around. Are you doing low fat? Part 2. So if I've brought my carbs down and I brought my fat down too, my body's going to struggle. It's going to start holding on again. Because again, like, we need to understand that our body adjusts. If I'm in a deficit, it's going to act like it's in a deficit. And that means hold on to energy. Oh my gosh, she's starving, or not starving, but she's not getting enough to eat on a daily basis. That's what it's going to be in. So a lot of times I see people encouraging people doing keto to still track calories and to keep their fat intake low and all these things that block us from getting the results that we're trying to get. Because, I mean, of course, there are reasons for them to do it, financial and otherwise, or just lack of understanding. There's a lot of reasons. So those are the things that come to me right away, Paulette, and you can rewatch the video if you want to just like write these down and whatever, or just rewatch it when you want to remind yourself. But the point is, your body wants to be in a healthy place. Like, that's just what your body wants. It's always working on repairing itself. That's because the purpose is for us to be as healthy as possible. If you are able to do keto appropriately and you're in a normal stall, which is that your body's just doing some internal cleanup and stuff, and then you probably will just get back on track in the next few days. If you do any of those checks and you see that, oh wow, like my carbs are really too high, or if you've been wrapping things in bacon and, like adding extra fat to everything, that's not necessary. The fat that comes along with the meat, that's really, or the fish, or the eggs, or the chicken, like that fat, that's all you need to intake for your body to stay in this good place. And I'm going to say one last thing on this. The reason you need to keep intaking those healthy fats from meat and fish and poultry and eggs is because of when your body's ready to repair you, it has those healthy fats from meat and poultry and fish and eggs. If we do lean while your body is trying to clean up, and the fat that is liberating is the toxic fat, right? The oils, what do you call them? Oils, the seed oils, like all that toxic stuff that you were taking in, that your body was grabbing and putting in fat storage because, right? This is its opportunity to get rid of it. And if you don't let it do that, then it still needs to turn around and reincorporate it back into your body. And we're in a bad situation. I hope that makes sense. So, I have a question from Mandel, or maybe a follow-up. I meant to ask about the blood in scripture. So we see so many blood products like blood sausage. I don't think violate scripture, but I'm asking if you have an opinion on, I don't have an opinion on that. I don't know that scripture very well. I do know that it's normal for us to eat blood because the chicken, beef, like all these things that we're eating have blood in them, right? It's not like we can't get the blood out of the meat. So it's normal for us to eat blood. So I don't have an issue with, cultures that, first of all, use blood as in their foods directly or drink blood. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with not wanting that in your diet if you don't want it. Like, so it can be a very strong flavor. So blood sausage I've had, and like it's a very strong flavor. I more for me it's about what's the health benefit. And there are health benefits, and therefore, everybody's going to eat what's best for them. I for sure can tell you that I wouldn't have that now because, again, I have to be very careful with my iron intake. And that would very likely be a much higher iron sausage, right? So that's not something that would be healthy for me. So I don't have an opinion on it in that way. I do think that my understanding of what the Bible says about food doesn't necessarily equal we're supposed to be eating veg all the time. I don't think the Bible gave time frames on when we should eat meat and when we should eat veg. It just said everything on the planet is here for us to eat. And so all the animals on the planet are here for us to eat. So we don't, at least in North America anyway, in North America, you don't go to the grocery store and see snake, for example, in the grocery store. It doesn't mean that there aren't parts of the world where that's something that's just normal to see there, maybe, right? So I feel like we need to accept that different parts of the world are going to eat different meats depending on what's available to them. That's fine. And we need to accept that our body needs meat. It needs fish, needs eggs, needs poultry. So basically, when you add up all that, what does it need? It needs animal proteins and animal fats. And however we get them in, if you love fish, go for it. If you love eggs, go for it. However you get them in, it's about getting them in. And that's the thing I want us to focus on today. I want us to focus on letting our food do what it's supposed to do. And Paulette is saying that you're sure that you have massive healing from inflammation happening. Well, that's a great reason for your body to be slowing down and focusing on that. And I do encourage you, Paulette, like do the, track, right? Because that's the only way you're going to know for sure. And then you're going to feel more comfortable. Because if you track and you say, great, my numbers are great, right? I'm not overdoing the fat and I'm just in a stall. And I say just, but I'm in a stall, but maybe it's the best stall I'm ever going to be in because my body's going to feel better. And that's the other thing, Paulette. If you're in the stall, but your body's doing good things, you might notice your energy goes up. You might notice, again, like your skin, and like you might notice things that's like, okay, I'm stalled, but good things are happening and I can feel them. Maybe I'm sleeping better. Maybe I'm thinking more clearly. Maybe, like, what are all those non-scale things that happened that, like, they're so valuable that we forget when we're only focused on weight, right? Like, if you do have an inflammation story and you're noticing that, yeah, I'm inflamed, but it's not as bad, it's not as painful, okay, great. So how many more days before maybe you're able to walk on the stairs easier or pick things up easier, and just tracking those things and seeing like, how am I feeling? Right? Because if my sleep is improving or my body's improving or I'm thinking better, if those are what's happening, it's worth it to give your body the time to figure that stuff out. It's absolutely worth it. And so Javier Diz Gonzalez, hello, I'm glad that you made it. I feel like this is the last question from what I can see. What you explain is 100% truth. And your body wants to be healthy. Absolutely. If we eat healthy as we should, then the result will come automatically. We must first eat healthy to get healthy results. Could not agree with you more, agree with myself, agree with you more. This is the reality that we learn. And I'm saying that we learn. Again, when we are honest with ourselves, we've known this. So for example, our kids, we make sure that we feed them healthy food, right? Why do we do that? Because we want them to grow up strong and healthy, right? And we're much more on our kids than we are on ourselves about what we're eating, about what we should be doing and getting exercise. We want them running around and playing outside. And we put our kids in a better scenario than we put ourselves. And I want us to change that because we want to be here for our kids. And we want to have a long life with our children and our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, right? We want to see all these young people come up and just do amazing things. And in order for us to be here, we need to heal ourselves. So I really want us to take some time to focus and really see where it's what we eat that builds us. And if we know that and we pay attention to that and we start working on that, then we're going to get towards our goals, because ultimately eating healthy food leads to better health. It's the only conclusion. So the thing is, what's the healthy food, right? As Paulette was saying, and sorry, I can't remember the other person's name. The one, as the person that was saying that they had the test for allergies, right? And sensitivities. If I have a sensitivity and I don't know about it and I keep eating that thing, nightshades, and that thing is ruining my health, yes, it was, then I'm always going to feel bad. And if I'm feeling bad, well, then how is anything going to ever get better? I want us to pay attention to us. We're so focused on the guy or gal beside us that we're not realizing that whatever is happening for them doesn't matter if I don't feel good. Whatever's happening for them doesn't matter if I'm not eating well, right? So even if they're in amazing shape and they're feeling amazing and nothing's wrong with them, yay for you, I still need to do it for myself, right? And so yes, if you see someone eating healthy and that encourages you to eat healthy, that's the right kind of comparison to do. If you see someone eating garbage, stop assuming that they're not living any repercussions from that, right? Because chances are they are, and they just don't even know it yet. Otherwise, I can't even say otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, because when I was eating standard diet, even though I was overweight, I was still eating chocolate bars, which obviously could not have been helping me in any way at all. Not a little bit, not at all. And I was still eating them. So, there's that part where I knew this wasn't helping my story. So what does that actually mean, Montessori? Yeah, sometimes we do the thing because we've been led to believe it's normal. Even though, logic says, if I have weight to lose, this chocolate bar should not be in my menu. So, next week, we're going to talk more about something that's amazing, and you guys are going to get more data on how to get your health under control. Check the video that's down below. Talk to you next week, Monday, 11:20. Have a good rest of your day, guys.